Hello and welcome to tutorial number 28 in the Microsoft Visual Basic .NET programming tutorials, and this is probably going to be the hardest tutorial yet. Well, it's probably the hardest concept to understand because it's really hard to explain, but I hope this helps, and if it doesn't then you're probably going to have to look at another tutorial because it's all about the way that you take things in and understand things. So the requirements for this tutorial are you're going to need to have watched my subprocedures tutorial or functions tutorial, and if you haven't, please click one of these annotations right here now to watch them and then come back here. Okay, so today we're going to learn about the ByVal and ByRef in functions and subs, and because they're so hard to explain, I've actually prepared some notes on Notepad that you can read with me. So to start off, ByVal is short for by value, ByRef is short for by reference, and using ByVal will change a value inside the sub only, and using ByRef will change a value globally in the whole application. So ByVal it's a copy of the variable and will not alter the original, but ByRef will point to the original variable and represent it, so they will share the same value. Now you must be like, whoa, what the hell does that mean? But that's actually going to help you a lot in the next few minutes when I explain what these actually are. So let's first of all we're going to go over the by value. So create a new project and call it ByVal and click OK. Now I'm sure you all know how to create a sub and call a sub. If you don't, then as I said, watch the tutorial, but if you do, then carry on. So first of all, we're going to create a button to activate our sub, and we'll put the text as call. And then now we're going to go to our code. So up here, before anything, we're going to declare number1 as an integer, and we'll give it the value of 5. We're going to use this in our sub, and then we're going to call a sub, and we'll call it add number with empty brackets, and it's actually in these brackets where the ByVal is going to go. And then in our sub we will simply we won't do anything yet actually, because I'm going to show you what we'll do that now. But down here we're going to call add number. Okay, so at the moment this really isn't doing anything, but we're going to use ByValue to take the value of number1 and alter it only inside this sub. So we're going to type ByVal number1 as integer, and ignore this for now, we'll come back to that in a second. And then inside here, because we can only alter this number, we can only alter number1 or whatever we give the value here inside this sub. So we're going to type, and actually this is a bad example, I'm going to change this to number 2. And inside here we're going to say number 2 equals number 2 plus 1. Okay, so you're like, well, where's number 2? But we've actually already called number 2 here by value. So we're saying by value number 2 is integer, and then whatever we type in these brackets is going to copy to the value of number 2. So inside these brackets, let's type number 1. And now we're going to call add number 1. And the value here is going to be transferred all the way up here to this, and then number 2 will now have the same value as number 1. But because we called it with by value, the value will only be allowed inside this sub. Outside this sub, number 1 isn't going to be incremented at all. So let's go down here and type messagebox.show number 1. So anyone who didn't really understand that must be thinking, okay, we've called add number 1, and that's going to add 1 to number 1. So this should message box 6. So let's see what happens. Now see in message box 5, if we go back to the notes, ByVal will change value inside the sub only. ByVal is a copy of a variable and will not alter the original. So when we're using ByVal the value outside will not change. So what happens if we, inside the sub, we say, okay, message box dot show number 2, which is number 1, the copy that we made. It's going to say 6, and then it'll say 5 now, and we click OK because it's using number 1 down here. And that's just by value for you. And if you don't understand, then please watch that part over again. But now we're going to move on to by reference. Okay, welcome to the ByRef part of the tutorial. So first of all, before we go into ByRef, let's go look back at the notepad. ByRef stands for by reference. ByRef will change a value globally, and ByRef will point to the original variable and represent it. So first of all, we're going to declare number 1 as an integer, give it the value of 5, and then we're going to create a sub called add number, and now we're going to use ByRef, and I'm going to say number 2 as an integer, and we're going to say number 2 equals number 2 plus 1. Okay, so now we can double click our button and we'll call add number. Inside the brackets we'll put number 1. So when we used the by value, if we were using by value, if we type down here messagebox.show number 1, it would just give the original value, which was 5. But since we're using by reference, so this isn't just a copy, this isn't just copied, these actually share the same value now. It will actually show 6, and there you go, 6. But if we change this to ByVal, the value is 5, because if we go back to our notes again, ByValue will change the value inside the sub, but ByRef will change the value globally. ByVal is a copy of a variable and will not alter the original, and ByRef will point to the original variable and represent it. So that's the best way I can explain it to you guys, and you probably didn't really understand that very well, but just watch it over a few times or Google for other examples, and hopefully they'll give you a better understanding. But that's all I can give you for now. ByVal and ByRef it's a really hard concept to grasp, but once you understand it, it really helps you understand what functions and subs are used for. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. If you have any suggestions or requests, please leave a comment, and please rate the video and subscribe. Thanks.